Hi there, it's Miss Brown, and I have made a little video here to kind of help you at-home learners with what we're doing in class. We've been working some problems, some of Mendel's P problems, so we're going to work some together here and kind of keep you caught up so you know what's going on. So get you out a sheet of paper. I want you to work these along with me and practice working these with me. And also have some grace because I'm working two computers and trying to get this camera to work, and I've got a lot of different things going on here in my notes, and I'm not good at technology at all. So have some grace with me, and I'm going to have some grace with you guys. So let's look at first. So what I want to do first is let's look at these words here. I'll show you these on the video. You have these defined from our last lesson. They were in your definitions, and also they're in your notes on the screencast we did together, okay? And we'll refer to these words as we're working the problems because you're going to have to know the vocabulary to venture into this land of genetics, okay? All right, so let's look at our first problem. Okay, the first thing we do, students, just read the problem. Don't panic, just read the problem. Number one, a homozygous yellow pea is crossed with a homozygous green pea. Draw a Punnett square for this cross and give the genotypes and phenotypes of the offspring. Well, now that's a mouthful. Now, we read the problem. Now let's write down everything they told us. Let's set up our problem, see what we know, and see what they want to know from us, okay? So remember, there are two alleles for every trait, right? Two alleles, one from each parent. So first thing we've got to do is assign our letters so we know what we're talking about. And I'm going to tell you in this problem, I will tell you that yellow is dominant. Yellow is dominant. Remember, dominant means it takes over. I always say if it shows up, it shows out. So if the dominant trait is present, that is going to show. And it gets the capital letter. Green is recessive. Green will not show if dominant is there. Dominant can't be on the scene for recessive to show, and that's green in plants. Now, we use one letter for both. We use a capital for the dominant and a lowercase for the recessive. So we said yellow was dominant, so let's use a Y. Okay, so my capital Y, let's set that up first, is going to be yellow. Okay, now just so I don't get confused, I'm going to make my lowercase y like this, and that's going to be the green. Okay. Now, so we've set our letters. Now we've got that done. Now let's figure out what the parents are in this problem. I put two blanks. There's one parent, right, because you have two alleles. This X is a cross. That means I'm crossing, breeding with another parent. There's two blanks for that parent's alleles. So let's see what we can fill in here. It tells me homozygous yellow. Okay, that's one of our words right here. See, homozygous? Homozygous means same. So if it's yellow and they're both the same, that means we've got two big Y's. So there's one parent, okay? It's crossed with a homozygous green pea. Again, homozygous means the same. Green is the recessive, so it gets two little letters, okay? Draw a Punnett square, that's one of your terms, for this cross, okay? I've got one of those drawn here. It's not too neat, but I think you can see what I'm doing. So I need to put one parent across the top. So go ahead and draw yourself a Punnett square, okay? You put one parent's alleles across the top. So I'm going to put the first parent here, two big Y's. And then you put the other parent down the side. So I'm putting parent number 2 down the side, okay? So now you cross these in each blank, and each one of these blanks gives me a possible offspring. That's what's possible in their offspring, okay? So always put the capital letter first. So I bring down from the top, I have a big Y, and from the side, I have a little y. From the top again, I bring down a big Y, and I bring down a little y. And it just so happens in this cross, how many possibilities do we have for offspring? One. That's the only possibility they have. So let's see what they want to know. We've written down everything they told us, and let's see what they want us to do. We did the first step. We drew the Punnett square. Now we've got to give the genotypes, that's the actual alleles, what genes they have, and the phenotypes, the physical appearance. Okay? Genotype is the genes. Phenotype, physical appearance. Okay? So we've drawn the Punnett square. Now it wants to know the genotype. And you could do this a couple of ways. Okay? You could say 100% big Y, little y. Or you could say 100% heterozygous, right? Because hetero means different. And they're all different. Okay? And then it wants to know the phenotype. And phenotype is the physical appearance. And they're all what? Yellow, right? No greens. All yellow. All yellow, right? All yellow. Now, does this yellow offspring look any different than this yellow parent? Nope. Nope. This show yellow. If the dominant shows up, it shows out, right? Okay? All right. So give me a second. I got to erase so we can work the next one. So that was number 1. We write down everything they tell us. And sometimes you have to do a Punnett square. Sometimes you may not have to do one. It may not even ask for a Punnett square. You may have to figure out something else, okay? And I apologize for taking so long. I'm doing, again, the best I can here. Okay, let's get my other board ready. All right, let's go to the next one. Number 2, okay? Cross 2 offspring from problem number 1. Draw a Punnett square. Give all possible genotypes and phenotypes of the offspring, okay? So we read the problem, that's step 1. Step 2, write down everything they told us, okay? So we know the big Y, again, is going to be yellow. The little y is going to be green. Now we're crossing the offspring, and that's okay in plants. We're not talking about living things. That's okay in plants. So let's figure out what our parents are. And the offsprings were heterozygous, right? Big Y, little y, big Y, little y. So that's what they asked for, right? Okay, so I'm going to draw a Punnett square here, and it's sure to be a mess. Let's see. Here's my Punnett square. Go ahead and draw you one too for number 2. Okay, I put a parent across the top, big Y, little y. Be sure you can see. And another parent here, big Y, little y. Well, we're going to have some different choices now, aren't we? Okay, so let's cross this parent, big Y, big Y. Big Y, little y. Bring down the big Y, little y, and little y, little y. So we got some different things happening here, don't we, kiddos? So what do they want to know? Oh, here we go again. Give all possible genotypes and phenotypes. Okay? So what genotypes do we have here? Get another board. So you'll be looking at yours, okay? I have... let's do it by percents. Let's do the genotype by percent. Sometimes they ask for a percent. Sometimes they ask for a ratio. Ratio, okay. All right, 25% big Y, and that's homozygous, isn't it? Okay. Oh, 50%. Each block is 25%, right? So 50% big Y, little y. And, Miss Brown made a mistake. 25% little y, little y. So that's your genotypes, right? Okay, now your phenotypes. That's what they look like. We've got 75% what? Yellow. 25% green. Okay. All right. Let's try another one. Clean up my area here. Probably get a new trait for the next one. We'll see what it says. Okay, and another computer. Okay. All right, read the problem. Oh, this is a short one. A heterozygous round pea is crossed with a wrinkled pea. Give the phenotypes of the offspring. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you, we got to figure out what's dominant and what's recessive. So round or wrinkled. You know, some of those little peas on your tray are wrinkled and you always thought they were old. They're not. They're like Lady Gaga. They were made that way, right? They were just wrinkled. That's just how they are. It's in their genes, okay? So here's a clue. Here's how you find clues. We know heterozygous means what? Different. So if it's heterozygous and it's showing round, what always shows dominant students, correct? So heterozygous, there's going to be different. There's going to be a big letter and a little letter. And round is what shows. That tells me that's the dominant trait. So we know round is dominant. So let's assign our letters now. Okay. So if round's dominant, I'm going to use a big R. So big R means round. Okay. And the other choice, wrinkled. Okay, so that's going to be the little r because it's recessive. It only shows if dominant doesn't come that day. Doesn't show up, right? Okay. Okay. Now, let's set up our parents, right? 2 blanks. Everybody gets 2 alleles for a trait. Here we go. All right, now I've got a heterozygous round. Hetero means different, right? So I'll have a big R and a little r. And you think about that. What's the wrinkle going to be? You tell me. You think. If you were with me, I'd say tell me, but just think about it a second. It's going to be 2 little r's, right? Okay. Give the phenotypes of the offspring. Okay. Let's make us a little Punnett square. Okay. We got big R across the top. Cross it up, Miss Brown. Little r, little r, little r. Okay. So first one, big R and little r. Is that one going to be round or wrinkled? What's his phenotype? Round, right? 2 little r's. Round or wrinkled? Wrinkled. Round, wrinkled. Okay, so do they want to know the genotypes? Nope. Just the phenotypes. And students, what's the phenotype? The physical appearance, right? So we've got 50%, half of them, right? Round. 50% wrinkled. Right? Okay, that was number 3. We're on the home stretch. One more. It's going to be a little different. This one has a little twist to it. Because remember, I told you sometimes you don't have to draw a Punnett square. Sometimes it gives you information and you just have to deduce the answer, right? You have to be a detective. You have to think, use your thinking part of your brain. Okay. 2 tall pea plants are crossed. They produce 75% tall and 25% short. Give the genotypes of the parents. Okay. So they're tall and they produce both. So we've got to figure out a lot here. We've got to figure out what's dominant. We've got to figure out the parents. Okay. So if I know that these parents are showing tall, these parents' phenotype is tall, that's the physical appearance, but they still manage to have offspring that are short, that tells me that tall is dominant. Okay, so let's set up our letters. T, tall, little t. I'm going to make it cursive so I don't get confused. Little t, short. Always be sure your letters, you can tell the difference. Okay? Okay. I'm going to put these blanks for the parents. All right? And I got 2 different kind of kids. I'm just going to put a comma in between. Now, I know the short kids, the short plants, are going to have 2 little t's. They have to. That's the only way they're going to show that. Then I know I've got tall ones. That's their phenotype, but that doesn't tell me what the second letter is at all in those children, in the offspring pea plants. So let's look at this. If we have offspring that show recessive, that tells me what? Because you get 1 from each parent. That tells me 1 came from this parent, had to, right? That's the rule. 1 came from this parent. Okay, so we figured that out. And now it told me that the parents were tall, so they have to have a dominant trait for that to show. Okay, and what does he want to know? The genotypes of the parents. Ta-da! Did I have to draw a Punnett square? Nope. Didn't have to. Just had to use what we've learned, use our vocabulary, and use our noggins and figure out what the parents had. Okay? All right, I hope this helps you. I'll try to make up some more videos for you to help you out as time goes on. Thank you all.